All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. Before we wrap up this week, I want to just go take a look at a couple things here. Let's just start off. We're holding on to Boeing. Okay, we're holding on to Boeing and we're holding on to Chesapeake here into the close. Okay, no reason, no technical change in those. In fact, we can argue that Boeing here today was a very nice move that's a precursor to a stronger breakout. Volume's not incredible here with Boeing here today, but around the market, volumes starting to dry up today because of the way the holiday sits next week with Christmas Eve on Tuesday, Christmas on Wednesday. Today's kind of a big travel day for many, kind of taking advantage of the weekend and kind of an extra long type of a break there. Okay, so so general market volumes a little light. They'll probably be light Monday, and really into the end of the year. And so volume in and of itself isn't really going to be a good gauge to really look at there. Okay. If we go out here and take a look at the broader market and really kind of what happened this week, one of the things that I will run every Friday or Saturday is a lot of times Saturday morning, kind of rehashing the week, looking at what has happened, what some of the shifts are. But, we talk about the 7 day moving average and moves above and below, kind of creating a risk environment where, hey, market starts to trade back above the 7. Odds are it goes up below the 7, odds are it goes down. It's not foolproof. You get whipsaws and everything else. But today, or this week, we were trading below the 7, and the Fed, we kind of had a reversal back above the 7 on some of the Fed action. Okay, now that was for the broader market. Okay, well, what about its components? And one of the things that I will run on the weekends is a simple scan here where I'm looking for stocks that are crossing the 7 day moving average, or in this case, I want to look and say, well, was there any kind of real technical significance to this week? So go look at the 7 week moving average. And one of the things you'll see here is there are 186 stocks out of the S&P 500. Okay, the S&P 500 here, there are what, 36% somewhere? No, I'm not my math. Yeah, somewhere around 36% of them are moving or making fresh moves from below the 7 week moving average to above the 7 week moving average. Okay, and that tends to be pretty bullish. And this is kind of some of the erosion that we've seen in the market over the last couple weeks. It's really quickly erasing some of that erosion. Okay, and so this is a pretty big list. Okay, pretty big list, and generally stocks that are breaking. Okay, let's just take Zion for example. Okay, where Zion overall on a weekly standpoint, making a fresh move back above the 7 week moving average. You have something bullish on a daily chart, you can generally react to those. There's some chatter in the chat about ADSK. Okay, take a look here at ADSK and notice the last pullback it had in September, October, and then it surged kind of late October back above the 7 week moving average and really has been going up ever since. Okay, so a lot of stocks here this week making these fresh moves where we're at one point this week, like Bank of America, it was trading below the 7 week moving average early this week and now surged back above. That tends to bode very well as we head into the end of the year. And so just an incredible list of stocks. You typically don't see this many on any given week. We can put this scan in reverse and go and look for stocks that are trading back below their 7 week moving average this week. Okay, look for some of those that have weakened, and you'll see how much smaller this list is. Ford, right? Well, Ford had some bad news. Delta Airlines, they had some bad news, right? News Corp, Mead Johnson, Mattel, CarMax. And so these are some that you kind of look at and say, okay, CarMax, yeah, obviously some bad news here today, kind of dropping it. But the difference in these two lists in the list of stocks that have moved back above their 7-week moving average versus the list of stocks that have moved back below their 7-week moving average is really high. Okay. Now, let's say you don't like the 7-day moving average. You want to use a different, or 7-week moving average. You want to use something different. Well, you can use something like the 20. Okay. The 20-week moving average. Give you a little bit of long-term picture. Overall, let's look for stocks that are kind of moving back above their 20-week moving average this week. Okay, you'll still see this list, 58 of them. It's still very, very high relative to what we normally see out there in the market. Okay, Berkshire Hathaway, EOG, Hess Corp, Jacobs Engineering, McDonald's, Oracle, Pepsi, just across the board. And it's not just one sector. It's not just one industry. It's market wide. Everybody has participated in this rally. The small caps, the transports, the industrials, the energy names. They've all participated in this rally from a sectoral standpoint. Okay. Um, yeah, Darren, Microsoft. Let me go show you here Microsoft. Microsoft. The big thing for Microsoft right now is the whole deal with picking a new CEO, right? And some of the news on Microsoft this week is kind of said, hey, you know what? They're not going to pick till next year. That's one of the reasons why Microsoft sold off as hard as it did. I do like where Microsoft is from a bounce area, from a technical perspective. I do like Microsoft to go higher. Okay, it's a very bullish chart overall. If you're looking at it from a weekly standpoint, you're talking about still trading below the 7-week. That's one of the things that the sell-off last week did for Microsoft. But for me, there's too much other stuff out there that's just beautiful than to go after Microsoft here. Yeah, Max. Okay, let's start. Max, great question. Let me get to that. Let's go FFIV first here. F5 Networks. Notice this is one of those that's kind of making that fresh move back above the 7-week moving average. You look on a weekly basis, you have some positive MACD action, beautiful stochastics action. In fact, next week when we start talking technicals, I'll really talk a lot about the stochastics and talk about some of the stochastics tricks that are out there. This is just a beautifully bullish stochastics action here on FFIV from a long-term standpoint, from a short-term standpoint, been consolidating here, broke above 85, good volume building. You have a solid weekly, solid daily, and that just bodes very, very well for FFIV to go higher. Now, FFIV is a volatile one. I've traded it many times. It can be very, very jumpy. A dollar move one way or the other doesn't necessarily mean anything. And with FFIV, you have a very nice bullish signal, but you're very far away from the 7-day moving average. If it were me and with FFIV, I would love to kind of see it come back and retest 85. If it came back, retested 85, maybe Tuesday or Thursday next week, be able to buy it. But taking that approach, there's a good chance I just completely miss the uptick. Okay, Max, yeah, your question here. Okay, is there any guideline for selecting a simple moving average based on holding period? Let's say I generally keep a position for 5 to 10 days. There are arguments for that, Max. Generally, for me, no. Whether I'm looking at something to hold on a month-to-month basis, or week-to-week, or a day basis, I generally will use the same principles. Okay, I don't want to adjust them too much. What I will adjust isn't the SMA, but I'll adjust the chart time period from a weekly to a daily to an hourly to, if I'm day trading, looking at minute and 15-minute charts. I'll use the same moving averages, but they will scale down in terms of instead of being a 7-day, it's a 7-hour or 7-minute or a 7-week. It'll scale on whatever time period chart that I'm looking at. Okay, that's generally how I do that. Okay. Okay, Jake, you cashed out of Boeing, cleared $900. Sounds good. Sounds good there. Nice job, Jake. Nice job. Okay. All right. The S&P 500 here as we head into the close. Okay, a little bit off of its highs. Is that bearish? No. The market's up this week. It's going to take a little bit of profit Friday afternoon. A lot of times, what will happen here on these types of things is you will actually see it sell off a little bit. From about 1 to 1:30 Mountain Time, 3 to 3:30 Eastern, and maybe even a little bit longer, but then you'll kind of get a kick up right into the close. Could today be different? Sure, but it's nothing that the action generally in the last half hour on a Friday generally doesn't shift the overall dynamic of a stock. Okay. Yeah, let me pull up ADSK's chart here. As you guys are looking at that here, ADSK talk about a runner, new 52-week high, continuing up. You're looking at a 52 to $53 price target on it. If you look at ADSK on its current run, it hasn't really stayed up in the upper Bollinger Band very often. It's kind of hit up there and then consolidated for just a little bit, re-hit the upper band, consolidated. That's been kind of the nature of ADSK on this recent run. Even just dancing around between 48 and 49 next week would not be bearish or anything that you'd say, hey, you know what, we got to get out of ADSK. May actually be a nice little entry point on any sort of 50-cent pullback with it there. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for hopping on. Any questions, please let us know, and we will talk to you later. Take care.